Gentlemen, all of whom claim to be a smashing driver. Could mean anything. Team, open the envelopes. Signed statement inside, which I'll now read to you. It says, I, John Lund, am the current world champion stock car driver. I began by watching stock car racing, and then about 10 years ago, I decided to build my own car. In my first race, I came 7th out of 20, but crashed in the final. Since then, I've raced in between 50 and 70 meetings a year and have built 10 cars. I did not win my first major championship until 1987, but in that year, I won virtually everything, including the World Championship. I retained my title last year and hope to achieve a hat-trick in the coming season. Signed, John Lund. But is he 1, 2 or 3? The panel must tell me. Questions and answers. Don't forget 2 jokers in the pack who will try and deceive. You've got until the hooter sounds. No demonstrations. Let's start this end, this time with you, Roy Hudd.
Right, number 1, where are the current world champion stock car races championships going to be held this year?
Coventry.
Coventry. Are they always held in this country?
Yes.
They are. Number 2, when you build a car, what do you build the car from? Lots of different cars?
Yes, lots of different cars.
So the first one you built when you were, what age was it now?
Well, I built my first one in 1976.
1976. And what cars did you use to build that with?
And there were commercial axles off a Morris commercial, and all the rest was homemade.
I see. Number 3, where are the championships going to be held next year?
Well, they're Coventry.
Thank you, Roy. Barbara.
Number 1, how many people do you actually have in your organisation? I mean, if you wanted to go to a race, how many people would go with you?
That depends on how many of the lads are available. 4, usually.
Are they mechanics and
yes.
people? Number 2, how far afield do you actually race geographically? I mean?
All over the country, really. The furthest south we race is Northampton, and the furthest north is in County Durham.
Are those specific tracks you go to?
Northampton and Aycliffe in County Durham, and then there's others in between.
Do you ever go?
Right. Bob Wellings.
Number 1, what's the most common car used in stock car racing?
They're all home built.
But isn't there a popular one? And one time there was a Ford Pop many years ago.
No, they're all home built by the drivers usually.
And is stock car racing in decline in popularity, or is it doing?
It's holding its own.
Is it? I thought number 2 was in decline.
No, I think over the last few years it's improved.
And would you agree that there isn't a car that people would go for? In the States it might be a Chevrolet or something. Isn't there something that people go after, a Ford Zodiac or something like that?
No, most of the cars are home built. Perhaps they all use the same engine.
Yeah. What's the worst incident that you've had, number 3?
Well, it's a remarkably safe sport, actually.
A safe sport, he says.
Sport.
Kathy Taylor.
Number 3, do you have to be fit for this game?
Relatively fit, yes.
How do you keep yourself fit?
A lot of jogging, a little bit of weight work.
How about number 2, what do you do?
Just keep active, really.
You don't do any specific fitness training?
No.
Number 3, are you a stock car racer in your hobby time, or is it a full-time thing?
No, it's part-time. It's a hobby.
What do you do to earn a living?
I'm a farmer.
How about number 2, what do you do to earn a living?
I'm a farmer.
Number 1, what do you do?
I'm a farmer.
You're also a farmer. Well, that's very handy. Do you have to keep fit, number 1?
Yes.
Stock car racing is not a professional sport?
No.
Right, it's make your mind up time now for our panel. Why did you have a go at home as well? We are looking for John Lund, world champion stock car racing driver. I wonder, is the real John Lund number 1, number 2, or number 3? Panel, tell me. Roy Hudd, tell me. Who isn't, who is telling the truth?
Well, now, it's interesting, this one, isn't it? Because, they try and fox you on this programme, don't they?
Yes.
With frocks and funny costumes, but they've all got the same costumes. But number 3 is he's wearing glasses. I wouldn't think that's a very good thing for a stock car, driver to wear. And they are real glasses. If you look through, you can see they're proper lenses in there. I thought they might be fakes. Number 1, he's a bit too smooth, a bit too smooth for my liking. Ducky. I think the most genuine chap is number 2, and I think he's the fella.
Number 2. Barbara.
Well, I think that I would think that stock car racing, you would have to be very flamboyant. Obviously, it seems that you would be flamboyant to do a sport like that. Now, I think probably, knowing this show, what it's like, the quietest chap has got to be it. I'm going to go for number 2 as well.
Yeah. Number 2 as well. Lovely. 2 for 2. Bob Willings.
Yes, that's very interesting. I was looking at number 1's eyes, which are very clear and sharp and piercing, and I think you need very good eyes for driving. But I'm not just copying lovely Barbara, but I think people who do heroic things and quite dangerous things are often quietly spoken. Given the geography lesson that we got and the kind of quietness of number 2, I also go for number 2.
Number 2. Kathy?
Well, before we did the show, we were told we had to go with our first feelings, so...
Well, you don't have to. You can go with your last if you want to.
I'm just working up as an excuse as to why I'm going to go for number 2 as well, actually. I think that you do have to be pretty fit for this sort of game. But so I think if you didn't do it, I think you would think the same as me, and you would say, oh yes, I'm going running and I do weight training and everything. Number 2 is so nonchalant. Oh well, just sort of keep active. In actual fact, if I was going to be fit anyway.
I don't understand what you said.
Well, I'm going to go for number 2, basically.
Number 2. Number 2. So, all 4 of them have gone for number 2. I've never heard anything so silly in all my life. So, will the real John Lund, world champion stock car racing driver, please be upstanding? It's number 2. I may be wrong, but I think it's the first time in what's been quite a long series the panel has got all 4 correct, or all 4 of them have been correct, and I'm really quite heartbroken about it. But our imposters did try so hard. Imposter number 1, what is your real name?
Bob Giles.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a clergyman.
Not a liar. And our second imposter, what is your real name?
Clive Everett Allen, and I'm also a clergyman.
So what that means, of course, well, I don't know, you see...
This isn't the programme, it's the epilogue. What
it does mean is that 1 to 1 in just a few moments is going to comprise 4 clergymen, which has all sorts of fascinating possibilities. But in the meantime, John Lund, the real John Lund, world champion stock car racing driver, we have a photograph of you, John, with your world championship car. Can you win a lot of money?
No.
And it's an expensive sport. What does a car cost?
It's quite expensive. Well, if you build a car yourself and do everything yourself, it's really your time that you could count as
In
expensive.
a word, going for the World Championship hat-trick this year, you're going to do it?
Well, I'm going to try very hard.
We wish you the very best of luck. John Lund, ladies and gentlemen. Well played.